Welcome back to HPL, guys. We just saw Zalae put his first win on the board here. But Jab's got a 2-1 lead, and Zalae needs 2 straight in order to pick up this match. Both of them have come firing so far. Jab queued up his Hunter deck, and he didn't get a win with it yet again. Seems to be the class he struggles with here in HPL, despite being known for it.
Yeah, he's really known for Hunter. He got a #1 finish in NA last month with it on ranked play, but we're going to find out what he's playing right here. Game 4 between Zalae and Jab.
Really interested to see what they're going to queue up here. Zalae's swapped back over to Rogue at this point, and the client continues to haunt us. So we're going to get his perspective up as soon as we can. And he's going for Mage here. And Mage is one of these classes that's very potentially dangerous for Rogue to play against. I mean, if they get the ball rolling with either early pressure or they're playing sort of a longevity strategy, Rogue can just get crippled under that kind of pressure.
Yeah. I saw a Mana Worm for a second in Jab, and I just have to believe it's Tempo Mage before I even saw that. I don't put Jab on playing much Freeze Mage, especially here in HPL, but I gotta believe it's a Tempo Mage deck that we've seen a lot of good things out of lately in the last week.
Yeah, I mean, Jab loves to play more minion-centric strategies, so something like Freeze Mage is not really up his alley. I don't think it's outside of his range, but I think he favors kind of playing in these battles where, you know, he can get the ball rolling early with minions and then, you know, try to pressure his opponents out of the game. And with an opener like Mana Worm into Mad Scientist, I mean, this is a great one.
It's a great opener, especially since he has a card in his hand that's not going to be very good in this matchup. Later, he'll be able to Flame Strike away, you know, maybe an Azure Drake or something late in the game, but that card's going to get value off of it. This Flame Strike's going to be not great in this matchup.
Yeah, it can certainly swing the board in a lot of ways, but it's a matter of how much Zalae is going to have to be investing into keeping Jab's board under control. If that goes for a lot of turns in a row, something like Flame Strike can make all the world of difference. But if he finds that he can stifle the pressure early and then you know, stick a minion to the board, Jab is certainly the one who's going to have to be playing defensive. And in that position, he may not have time to Flame Strike.
Now, interesting thing I've always found in this matchup is, it's like you said, if the Mage deck can come out early and start to, you know, snowball down onto the Rogue player, that they can get out to a huge lead, and if they're very aggressive with a Frostbolt on the right turn, freezing the actual Rogue portrait, and they can't use their weapon that turn, it's actually often back-breaking enough to win the game.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and dagger up here. You know, the coin, I'm sorry, the coin SI7 agent here, if he chooses to take out the Mad Scientist with that, the way the interaction works is that if a mirror entity is fetched, it will actually copy the SI7 agent coming into play. So certainly sort of a weird interaction there, but that's the reason why you're not seeing him coin the SI7 agent in that spot, is because he wants to avoid playing into a mirror entity, you know, as predictably. Instead, he's looking to proc it with the SI7 agent moving forward.
Now, Jab has an interesting turn here. Does he Frostbolt? Yeah, he's gonna Frostbolt here this turn to freeze Zalae so he can't use his weapon and get a little extra power out of his Mana Worm here. It's a really aggressive play, but as I said, it's good a lot of times in this matchup just because you have to be aggressive and you have to create tempo to win this.
Yeah, I mean, this may be a spot where you even see Zalae do something like just play SI7 agent just to get a minion on the board, especially after he's just seen a Frostbolt. That's one less answer that Jab is going to have to that sort of situation.
Yeah, and I just love this play from Jab. As I said, it's really important in this matchup to put them on the defensive and put them on their back foot and create a lot of tempo and early aggression, because they struggle sometimes to get out of it if they don't have the right pieces. The Rogue player does. And as you see, he can't combo his SI7 agent this turn, and he can't use his dagger, which he was planning to do. So well-timed Frostbolt here from Jab. And like I said, it's a big stress point here in this match.
Yeah, it looks kind of weird to just use a Frostbolt for 3 points of damage.
No, I love it, yeah.
But what's happening here is that it's not just 3 points of damage. He's getting the swings out of his minions here as well. So he's getting not only that damage, but then also the return damage that Zalae normally would have invested. So getting the extra attack out of his Mana Worm is sort of the goal in this situation.
Yeah, and I like this play from Zalae here.
So on point, using Eviscerate plus this Salcy deckhand, take out this Mad Scientist. You know, he doesn't want to leave it vulnerable to hero power, but now in this spot, he's going to be able to proc this mirror entity with the SI7 agent and then use his dagger to take that out. So answering it very well also.
Answering very well. Not a great turn from Jabber. Picks up the second Azure Drake. He's going to have a lot of action going forward, but he really needed to do something you know, aggressive that turn, stick another minion to the board, add some more pressure to Zalae, because now you're giving the onus back to Zalae to take initiative in this game.
Yeah, Piloted Shredder looks to be like such a clean play here too. You do take a lot of damage in the process of doing that, but you know, with the way that Jab's hand is panned out, something like Azure Drakes may be exactly what Zalae is interpreting from his range. I mean, turn 4 hero power pass is not something that a deck that plays Mana Worms and Mad Scientist wants to be doing. So
that's a really, really good point, you know, because if he plays SI Agent, Jab gets one off his Mirrodin, and then you can kill it with the Blade. But you're thinking about what is in Jab's hand. And if he has Azure Drakes, if you play Piloted Shredder, attack the Piloted Shredder. If he doesn't get a minion that kills your Piloted Shredder, then you get to have a minion that can check these Azure Drakes later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, he may not even swing into the Piloted Shredder. He may just like let that battle happen and see how it pans out. Because if he picks up something like Blade Flurry, suddenly Blood Mage and Blade Flurry ends up being a fantastic turn.
And he also might be able to trade up with a Blood Mage, Zalae and SI Agent, but he is actually going to kill the Piloted Shredder.
Taking out the Piloted Shredder is so important. And that's actually a pretty poor minion here, I would say, from Jab's perspective. I mean, you know, if this gets checked in any sort of way, he's going to fall very far behind. Right now, it keeps his Azure Drake protected, so potential to get 4 more points of damage out of that. But you know, sort of a dangerous spot to be in for Jab.
Yeah, dangerous spot to be in for Jab, but he also picked up Flamemaker Fireball, so he just picked up a lot of reach here in this game, and we're getting to the point where you might see this Flame Strike actually come into play here in the later turns too. So his hand's actually panning out a tiny bit, but we're in that dangerous spot where minions are sticking to the board for the Rogue deck, and that's always super dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, if he can't find the damage to actually end this game, it's going to be super, super bad for him. So in this position, he's now played the Azure Drake, can't hero power this turn. This damage is going upstairs, and he's looking to end this game with burn spells. So now Zalae has to very carefully weigh this position and tinker Sharp Sword Oil with the preparation. This is potentially a very dangerous spot again for Jab.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous spot for Jab. Zalae has a pretty clean answer. I'm sorry, not a clean answer, but he has some good stuff with Tinker Sharp Sword Oil that he can do here, pick off this Azure Drake, but he's at 13. He is so low right now. Jab is applying so much pressure. You have to believe there's at least one more burn spell left back in that hand. He's been keeping a couple cards in his hand this game, and he frostbolted you really early, and he just pushed a ton of damage in the
Wow, Wild Pyromancer. This is actually a pretty good minion for Zalae in this spot. He can use any of these spells, and then SI7 Agent this Azure Drake and completely take out the pressure from Jab.
Man, we've seen some crazy minions these last couple episodes of HPL come off these Piloted Shredders. Some really, really big spots where they've created huge plays for their opponents, or just been devastating for the person getting the minion.
Yeah, this suddenly turned into a very interesting spot, like how exactly he wants to move forward here. Does he even want to cast 2 spells in this spot? I don't think he does.
No, I think he's just going to SI7 Agent this, and then he's going to dagger up and Tinker Sharp Sword Oil here.
Yeah, he's going to Sharp Sword Oil.
It's a great turn for Zalae.
Doesn't want it to land on his Wild Pyromancer, though. Oh, he loses the 3 power on a minion. Oh gosh, disaster strikes. But, you know, a lot of damage still on board here. 4 from the dagger, 5 from Lotheb, and 3 more from SI7 Agent. Second Fireball gets picked up from Jab, though. This is a beautiful Flame Strike turn for him, and then he can just play the Sorcerer's Apprentice 2 Fireballs. I mean, he's got so much pressure in his hand now. How does he want to approach this game? Because he's effectively got lethal.
Yeah, he's effectively got lethal here, so he's got to make sure that he doesn't die over the next turn or two. Now, Zalae is down to 2 cards, so Flame Striking is, you know, like something that looks pretty good to me and looks pretty good to him. But he's gonna contemplate some other plays here. But I think you have to Flame Strike and hope to God that Zalae's hand isn't very good. He has a sprint left over, but it's not going to be enough to win this game. Antique Healbot, great draw here for Zalae. You know, he can Antique Healbot and Blood Mage Thalamus. I think you actually just want to get this Blood Mage into play. You're okay if Jab invest 2 mana into it. You get to cycle it for a card. That's what Zalae needs right now, is he needs resources to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, getting pressure on the board is sort of the important part of this matchup. You have to have something on board to check what your opponent's doing, because the last thing he wants to do is, you know, put more pressure back on his life total. But now Jab is in a spot where he can change up the game plan with his fireballs. He can start using Flame Waker to try to get an advantage here.
Yeah, this Unstable Portal is going to be big right here.
This is such an important minion. If he gets something big off of it, I mean, that's something that's big, but it's sort of in a weird spot where he doesn't have the time to play it just yet. But now his game plan with the Fireball drastically changes when he gets a minion this big. He can start using these for removal spells again.
Yeah, he can start using removal spells if he wants, but it depends on, some more heal here for Zalae. That's actually, you know, a pretty decent draw for him here, because he's going to have to use a little bit of his life spell to take care of this Flame Waker here. He cannot let that stay on board. It represents so much extra damage in this matchup from Jab. This game is getting very tense.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen minions like this create a lot of board tension in the past, and they're sort of these must-answer style minions from your opponent. I love these kinds of minions because they force the action onto another player. They have to do something. They can't just sit back and wait.
Yeah, and if Zalae plays 2 minions here, Jab has some trades into them, along with, how do you pronounce this guy's name?
Engineer Thermal Plug?
Yeah, it makes leper gnomes when your minions die. So Jab can actually make a huge board state here next turn.
Really interesting turn.
God, this game just got so crazy.
I love Unstable Portal.
I do too. I love Unstable Portal, Shredder. I love the randomness, the fate deciding of the game parts. It's so good.
So Arthur McFarce is going to be what it is. I mean, he has to kill this Flamewaker, right?
Yeah,
With
there's
the
no way
sprint
you
in his
can leave
hand
it,
too,
yeah.
he's going to be able to reload here. So being able to simplify this board position, I think is something he's happy with. He's just going to leave the Sorcerer's Apprentice on board, though. This could be disaster for Zalae now. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 points of damage available for Jab, so not quite enough to get it done. But Mech Engineer Thermal Plug, I mean, this is so good for Jab in this spot.
Well, the thing is Jab is starting to run out of time, though. He can't be super cute here. Zalae is putting a lot of pressure on this board, and he has some top decks in here that are going to be very good. It just matters how good this sprint is going to be. If Jab knew that that was the last card in his hand, I think he would feel pretty good about it.
Wow.
Yeah, here come the Leper Gnomes.
Oh, this is so great. Leaving at the Pilot Shredder too, I like this, is will in short term alleviate the amount of pressure that he's taking. Something like this, the last thing I think he wants to do is have 2 minions out on the board, but he also gets a secret. So if this is something like Counterspell, he could completely
Not
change
the card
this.
Zalae wanted to draw here in the second sprint.
Is not what he wanted. Wow, can you imagine if that was Counterspell?
If that was Counterspell, this game would have immediately been over. But I mean, this game's already in a pretty unwinnable spot for Zalae here. These Leper Gnomes are going to get in a ton of extra damage. This Thermal Plug's a 9/7, by the way. It's nothing to be scoffed at. And these 2 Fireballs are going to be just too much for Zalae to push through here. I think we're going to see Jab beat Zalae.
Yeah, I mean, this he's got the Mech Engineer checked here, but it's already gotten 2 Leper Gnomes out of this, and it's pulling 8 damage out of Zalae's side of the board. So it's doing so much work in this position. Unstable Portal can just open up a world of opportunities. It creates situations that your opponents can't prepare for, but it has a drawback with it. Sometimes it'll just get worthless minions.
Yeah, sometimes you get worthless minions, but sometimes you get giant legendaries and epic cards.
So
Ooh.
does get a taunt, but it's
taunt
just
minion.
not going to be near enough. Even Keys and Mystic in this deck, so the fact that Zalae's queued up Hunter a couple times in a row, I'm assuming that's the reason this is included. But once again, just so much damage coming out here. Jab does have to think about the consequences of something like a Blade Flurry here, so not too willing to just completely invest in this board position. I expect one of these minions to come down, but the other one is likely to stick in his hand.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if he actually just plays the Fireball here. I have to believe he probably will, but there's, some things going through his mind right now is, what happens if I don't cast this if I don't play this Fireball? What's the worst thing that could happen to me? How do I get punished for not playing this Fireball?
Yeah, I think it's fine to just hold it in your hand because there's still a chance that his gameplay changes a little bit. Is going to go with the Sorcerer's Apprentice here. And Zalae, he doesn't have a poison in his hand, so no way to effectively check this board position. If he plays Azure Drake, that's a mirror entity that's likely to proc. I don't think it's something like Ice Block or it's obviously not Spellbender or Counterspell. It's not Duplicate. I mean, what can it be? It has to be mirror entity.
Yeah, I mean, he has the Azure Drake. You just have to go for it and hope to God it's not mirror entity. But as we know, he's going to get a 4/4 out of this. You're not going to be able to clear Jab's side of the board.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like that's it. I mean, the 2 damage from the Leper Gnome plus the extra spell power from that Azure Drake is going to be more than enough to take care of this board position. Is going to Blade Flurry, but, taking that 4 damage to try to leverage his life total, that's going to do it. Jab is going to take this series versus Zalae 3-1 and an excellent mix-up of his strategies.
Yeah, wow, just what an impressive match here from Jab. Great stuff. He's going to contemplate if he wants to play some extra spells here, how he actually wants to kill his opponent. Just padding those stats just a little bit, getting a little extra damage in here. But you know what? Great win from Jab here, and the first loss for Team Archon here in HPL.
Yeah, Jab is just on fire in his
last fire this week.
3 in a row now.
He's 3-0 this week.
After starting out 0-2 as well, so he's completely turned this series around. And once again, just love the fact that he's changing up his strategies. He had said it early on. He felt like he was getting targeted, and you know what he's done? He's adapted to that. The fact that players can play anything they want gives them that full range and gives them that full arsenal. It forces people to practice strategies that they wouldn't necessarily play in a format where they have to queue up 3 decks, and then they're restricted to playing only those 3 decks for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, Jab is a completely new person after week 1. He started out 0-2, as we said. He's won 3 matches here this week. And you know what? You saw him make major adjustments to his game. He started playing better. You know what? He seems like a different person. He just seems very determined and very willing to win.
Yeah, suddenly becoming a major threat here in HPL. Guys, you can head over to the website, pvplive.net, check out exactly the changes that Jab has made to his strategies. Look at those first 2 matches and then contrast it with the next 3 that he played. It is day and night, guys. When we come back, we're going to have an interview with Jab and get his insight into how he tackled this match versus one of the powerhouses here in HPL. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.